Hello, and welcome to the Techstrong AI podcast. I'm Amanda Razani, and with me today is Chris Cullerot. He is the Vice President of Technology and Innovations at iTech AG. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me, Amanda.
Can you share a little bit about the company, first of all, and your background before we start?
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned, my role in iTech is the Vice President of Technology and Innovation. iTech itself is a technology consulting firm. We help our clients identify, enhance, and streamline business processes through integrated technologies and solutions. In my current role, I have the responsibility of overseeing our portfolio of technology-focused solutions and projects across our customer base. And I think relevant to today's topic here at iTech, right, we're increasingly integrating AI capabilities within our solution platform so that we can intelligently automate workflows and interactions across the enterprises that we support. I guess by way of background, I've always been a technology enthusiast, highly inquisitive about innovation and emerging technologies. I've worked in the technology consulting space now for about 20 years. I started in cybersecurity, evolved my expertise into wider IT operation capabilities in support of enterprise business applications through various different business lines such as financial management, human resources, customer relations, or security. And excited to be here today. Appreciate you hosting me on the podcast. Looking forward to our discussion.
Wonderful. Well, it seems like when it comes to integrating technologies, almost every space is looking at how to harness AI technology, which you mentioned. So what are some good use cases where you've seen companies have a good return on investment? And then maybe we could talk about the process of implementing AI.
Sure. Yeah. So, within the federal space, right, not just the customer experience, AI is increasingly adopted, right? We're seeing it for all sorts of purposes, from chatbots to using generative AI to generate code, right? Starting basis for code, document processing. There's tons and tons of forms in the federal government. So translating those handwritten forms into digital and then, pasting those over to various fields within the system repository. Data analytics and trend analysis is huge. It's used in security. It's used in fraud detection. It's used in just making business decisions around trend analysis. We're even seeing it used for traffic management, right? With peaks and valleys in different traffic patterns given the time of day and rush hours. So it's really being used everywhere. Where we intersect with it more often than not is, and this is in relation to the customer experience, is chatbots, right? When you're interacting with customers now, we're seeing a really high return on investment by putting that chatbot kind of as the tier 0 agent, letting that self-service the requester. Hopefully they can get the data they're looking for. They can get the answer they're looking for through that chatbot. If not, can escalate to the next tier. And even using AI at the next tier, when I may be interacting directly with a human, we're seeing a lot of enhancement in the personalization of that experience, right? So much data is gathered and continue to gather from different sources and even through historical interactions of that customer. That really gives us a lot of data that's usually presented on the screen, even transcripts or scripts, right? Suggestions on how you interact with that customer or how you answer their questions may be presented in front of you. So it's really, really making these customer interactions very, very efficient. And, it's allowing us to often not reduce the footprint of the resources providing that capability, but rather empower them or enable them to tackle bigger and more critical or difficult challenges that AI can't handle and the human touch is needed. So that's really where we're seeing it most. I know there are tons of other areas that realizing significant cost savings, efficiencies, and benefits. But again, where we intersect with it, where we're using it in our systems and our solutions, that's probably the biggest area we're seeing.
And so not only is it helping right then in real time, but I imagine companies are able to, with all that additional data, they're able to make changes across the board to their websites and to the way they run their customer experiences.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Right. Like getting back, I guess, to the data analytics and trend analysis piece, right? So leveraging trends from customers, right? I mean, you can see where a mouse is at any given time on the screen. So kind of knowing maybe what pages they're interacting with more, or where their eyes are being drawn to, where we're seeing maybe routine data entries being incorrect or, not the right prompts. So we can kind of gather those inputs, where there may be pain points, where we can streamline processes from that data that's being collected and leverage AI, right, to kind of help us figure out how do we make this more human-centric, right? Human-centered design is a big concept in the federal space right now. So how do we maybe make this more easily interactable and more aligned with human-centered design principles, and just ease the interaction, make it easier on the customer and more intuitive?
So for companies that are looking to implement AI technology for chatbots or any sort of customer experience enhancement, what is step one? And then what are some of the roadblocks that you see business leaders coming up against, tips for that and how to handle those?
Yeah, sure. So, whether it's a chatbot or another technology, right? We've recently helped implement a solution where one of our customers was going through a translation or conversion, right, from physical documentation to digital documentation, and using AI. They had all those handwritten forms scanned. Using AI, we're able to generate all of the digital counterparts to them and build those systems out. So it doesn't have to be chatbots, but I think along those lines, the very first step in getting to your first question would be, where are you going to get the biggest bang for your buck, right? Where is your business going to benefit most from the implementation of AI, and how am I going to get that return on investment? Right. So like anything, it's great if I can implement AI, but if I'm only getting a 50% return on that investment, and I'm losing the other 50%, right, then that's not a sound business decision. So one, making sure it's right for your business and the business challenges that you're going to tackle, right, where are we going to get the big bang for the buck, and what's the right solution to do that? Once you're there, like anything, we're going to evaluate the different products that are out there to fulfill that solution, right? So, there are a lot of different chatbots out there to select from. They all have different pros and cons in terms of different knowledge bases they can hook into, knowledge bases they may be pre-configured with, learning models that they've been pre-configured on. Maybe there's one that's more customer service based for e-commerce versus one that's customer service based for IT service management. So, right, figuring out what the right product is, and then when implementing it, right, like being able to pull through that chatbot to the page, right, because it's often overlaid on a page. So how am I integrating the chatbot technology with my service management technology? And then really the biggest thing is, what are the learning models that it's attached to or trained on, right? And then what are the knowledge bases it has access to? It can only answer and help from the chatbot standpoint, right, as well as it has something to understand. So one thing we're seeing a lot of, right, is a lot of customers, right, especially in customer service, have their knowledge bases, whether it's SharePoint, whether it's knowledge articles in ServiceNow, whether it's something in Salesforce, right, whatever it may be. And, connecting it to those knowledge articles, but also allowing it to access like the user profiles and user data within that system. And that's where we get to start seeing the trend analysis, right? Like what is this user's history of interaction been with us? What tickets have they previously opened? Are there common themes? And, this user keeps having the same problem and the same answer. Here's how I help them answer it. So it's getting the right data. So I think, right, the biggest things are understanding where you're going to impact your business or make the greatest impact on your business, selecting the correct technology, building the proper integrations between your existing technology and the AI solution, and then arming that AI solution with learning models and data to reach back into. So that would kind of be my recommendation when looking to implement AI. And again, this is just specific to the chatbot model, but I think it's really applicable to any piece of AI that you may be implementing.
And of course, from some things I've read and heard, I would say that business leaders do need to be careful, though, because I know I saw something a few months ago where an airline was using an AI chatbot and it answered a customer wrong. And this turned into a big lawsuit because it cost the customer money. And so then they said they weren't to blame. It was all the AI chatbot's fault, but that's just a technology. So what are your thoughts on this as far as you can't just let the AI, do it. You'll just expect that it's going to do everything perfectly and not take any blame for it.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with that specific instance, but certainly it is a concern. I think the way we're seeing it industry handled more and more is there's something called human in the loop, right? So it's AI not operating autonomously, but some level of oversight or even participation in any given workflow of a user. That may reduce the speed of the AI and the speed of getting answers to a customer. But I think, when the newer the technology is, you kind of want to give it the quote unquote training wheels, and that's where the human in the loop comes. And over time, it does get better and it does perform more. So in this particular instance, maybe it's just a matter of taking the training wheels off too early. But certainly there are big concerns with implementing AI, ethical concerns, right? What are there biases in the AI and the learning model and the data that's being fed? There's security concerns. AI has access to all of this data. What are the screens or filters preventing it from, hey, I'm interacting with it, but it thinks I'm Amanda and it's giving me all of Amanda's information inadvertently, leaking that data through kind of a new vector. So yeah, ethics, privacy, data privacy, those are the bigger ones we're seeing right now. And actually, in the federal space, they are facing it head on. I believe it was back in March that the White House or OMB issued a memorandum for heads of executive agencies on how are they going to handle AI, right? Really strengthening governance around AI. And, I think not just the federal government, but, industry altogether is really taking that to heart. And it's really putting a framework around it, right? Designated AI officers, who's going to own it, just like we have now chief information security officers or chief privacy officers. There are now chief AI officers. Building governance bodies within the agency. Obviously, it's just not one person making the decision. It's a collective or group within the organization. Compliance plans, and something I think is really cool. I don't know if you're aware of it, Amanda, but it also requires all the agencies to inventory the use cases for how they intend to use AI and post that publicly. So if you go on to ai.gov, there's actually a whole website out there with a wealth of information around how the government's using AI, how they're handling some of these concerns and challenges with AI. You can actually see all the use cases posted out there, agency by agency by agency. And I found that really interesting, right? Just seeing, the vast adoption and how quickly that's happened for AI, and really just kind of taking the time to look through some of the use cases. There's some really cool stuff out there. So, for your listeners, if interested, I would encourage them to go take a look at that, because it really does, provide a lot of transparency to how AI is being used in the government.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to go look for that. And plus, I like that sort of provides a bit of accountability as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is one key takeaway you can take and give our audience today in regard to AI and the customer experience?
Yeah, right. So I think the biggest thing is AI is amazing advent that we're now seeing. Some of the benefits of it are astronomical. We're just seeing huge investment or returns on investment. But specific to AI, right? I think, or the human experience, I think we always have to take into account the human element of it, right? AI is not human. It is going to slip up. You can often tell when you're talking to AI and not a human. I think the emotional intelligence aspect and empathy is something that AI can't provide. So the human touch is always going to be essential when kind of managing the customer experience. I think the biggest thing is lean into AI as much as you can, because you really are going to see the benefits of it. But you have to caveat that and wrap all that with the understanding that at some point, I need a release out of that AI interaction to a human in the loop, and insert that human emotion, empathy, intelligence, right, when appropriate. Because you can never leave the human experience to AI. It's just not going to be there. But it is making really, really impressive strides. But I think you always have to have an understanding and awareness. It's, again, always dealing with the human touch, that needs to be baked into to the customer experience across the board.
Yeah, that collaboration is important. It will be interesting to see, as fast as this technology is advancing, what's in store a year from now. What are we going to see?
It is, yeah. I think, to the point I just made, I think right now we're still interacting with phone calls, right? And it's push a button for this, that, or the other thing. And it's almost counterintuitive to the point I just made, but I think we're going to start getting to the point, right, where you're talking to AI, and right, we have Alexa and things like that now, and you're actually going through a whole customer service experience, whether likely via the phone. And it'll be fully conversational, it'll be fully AI. But again, they got to figure out how to have that release, and if a human needs to step in, how to do that elegantly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for coming in on our show and sharing your insights with our audience today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Amanda. I really enjoyed our time, and I look forward to hopefully talking with you again soon.
Yes, and thank you to our audience. Stay tuned. There's more.